Hey everybody, it's Gomedex, and welcome to the very first Arena Direct for The Hobbit. As always, these Arena Direct events are your chance to win some physical Magic the Gathering cards by playing digital Magic on Arena, this time with the newest set, The Hobbit, that has only been out for over a few days now. So this is going to be a very, very early season competitive event. It's going to be best of one sealed, very high stakes, high reward. It is 8,000 gems. That's over $40 worth of gems to enter, but high reward. You have a chance of winning a physical collector booster box shipped to your door. So a very, very cool event, but also a very high variance, very risky one because it's incredibly expensive to play, and you are playing best of one sealed, where you need to open really well, you need to draw really well, and you need to play really well. So there's a whole lot that can go wrong, especially with only one loss of breathing room. You have to play until you get 7 wins or 2 losses, whatever comes first. So as soon as you've lost one game of Magic, you've only got one more chance. If you lose another game after that, you are completely out of it. You got to spend another 40 bucks and try again. So again, very high variance, very high risk. Even the best players in the world scrub out of this event from time to time after spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Not an event for everybody, but we like to do these up to 7 times or until I win the box, whatever comes first every time around. Cross our fingers and see if we can't win a collector booster box of The Hobbit. Without further ado, let's bust open these packs and see what we get to play with today. All right, and this is honestly a pretty rough start for the Hobbit Arena Direct. We only opened 6 rares, which is pretty rare in Modern Magic, where you have the play boosters. There could be up to like 3 rares per pack sometimes, sometimes even 4 in specific sets. So only opening 6 rares out of 6 packs, not going to be the most bombiest stuff. Plus, a lot of these rares are tremendously weak, borderline unplayable in Sealed and Draft, like roll, 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 roll. 3 mana to flicker one of your cards 4 turns in a row. Not the most exciting, really not worth that entry fee. The Desert Werewolf also is really for a mono red deck, which is not something you can really pull off, especially in Sealed, but even in Draft. And even then, it is a 6 mana creature with no enter the battlefield effect or immediate impact. It has to stick around a whole turn cycle before it actually does its thing, so not super great. Tom, Bert, and William might be the best rare here, and they're just solid. 5 mana, 5/5. When they die, you get to keep them on the battlefield as an artifact, so you always have access to their ability, which lets you sacrifice a creature to draw cards equal to its power and then discard a card. So that's a decent ability to have for the rest of the game. Being able to do that in instant speed in response to any removal spells from your opponent is a good way to get extra value out of your cards. So they're pretty good. They're not exactly like super bomby, but they're pretty good. And then same with Azog, Moria's Ruin. This is a fun, flexible card. 3 mana, 1/3. When it enters, destroy up to one other creature. Its controller amasses Goblin's X, where X is that creature's power. If you controlled that creature, draw a card. So if your opponent has a creature with a really good ability you have to get rid of, then you get rid of their creature and give them an army in exchange. But if you just have something on board, you want to turn into a goblin army and you want to draw a card, and you go for that, you get some good value. There's a lot of expendable creatures in black in the set to go with that kind of sacrifice mechanic. So Tom, Bert, and William and Azog are pretty good, so we're probably going to end up in black and green. But then again, the other 2 cards, more pretty mediocre rares. The Lord of the Eagles is just not going to work particularly well in Sealed. It costs X less to cast, where X is the total power of creatures you control with flying. Not something we're going to have a lot of in Sealed because we don't get to choose what we've opened up. We don't get to specifically draft flyers. And then Along the Crooked Way, 3 mana for an enchantment. When it enters, return a creature from your grave to your hand. Whenever a creature leaves your grave, amass goblins 1. And then for 2 mana, give your goblins an Orc's Menace till end of turn. So it's just like a 3 mana 1/1 goblin army that draws a card back from your grave, which is fine, but it's more like a common in terms of power level than a rare. There's not a lot to build around with the amassing mechanic on this card, having stuff leave your graveyard. So kind of a dud for our first Sealed, but we'll see if we've got some really good stuff to go with Tom, Bert, William, and Azog, and then maybe we've got a chance here. You never know, you could open up some pretty great commons and uncommons. Let's take a look at our multicolored and colorless, check out our fixing if we want to splash around. We do have a Giant's Boulder, a Hobbit Hole, those help, and then double treasure tokens from long-bodied gray dogs, so some colorless fixing there. Multicolored stuff, I usually like to check if there's any premium uncommons. Any signpost uncommons could give you good directions to go, and the Chief Warg's a pretty good one, and we're already probably going green-black with our rares, so that's a good sign. And then there's Bolg with North for black-red, which is just okay. We've even got a black-green dual land, which helps, so that's pretty cool. We could maybe do the black-green thing, but as always, we want to take a peek at every single color and make sure we're not missing out on anything particularly powerful. White certainly does not look particularly powerful. There aren't a ton of cards here, and some of them are really filler, like these combat tricks, the buff the board sort of thing. Kind of a mediocre white pile. There are a lot of cards in blue here. There's not a lot of flyers, though. There's one flyer outside of Lord of the Eagles, which means our one blue rare is not particularly good. I mean, I guess we've got two technically, but roll, 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 roll is not worth a card. We've got some interaction, some removals, some counters. So blue's giving us good interaction and card selection with triple Bilbo, drawing a card, discarding a card every time we hit our opponent. Blue looks like playable. It looks very serviceable, even the common Bilbo to draw another card. So, yeah, I don't mind the blue. Not insane, but not terrible. Black, we've got a chunk of removal here. Stir Up Trouble, Double Bilbo's Deadly Slice, Cruel Bent Blade, sort of. And then I guess the Double Gathering of Darkness also trigger the Along the Crooked Ways, so we could end up playing that card, getting extra mass out of it. But again, it's going to be more along the common power level than anything super exciting. So we've got a lot of black stuff here, a lot of amassing going on, some decent creatures, some great removal. Black looks like the best color we've seen so far. It gives us Azog as well, so I'm pretty happy with the black. It's also got synergy to go with the Along the Crooked Way, which was not particularly likely. Next up, we've got red, 0 removal spells. Well, I guess there's one Smog. The Spew Flame Adventure can be a removal spell for you. It's got decent creatures, not great ones, but decent ones, but just a complete lack of removal. And it has like no non-creature spells, but a card that wants to be casting non-creatures all the time. Doesn't look wonderful. Finally, oops, last but hopefully not least, let's hope that green is good. And we do get to just do a black-green deck here. We've got another removal spell. We already had a good chunk in black, so the fourth is nice. The Warg Tactics are also removal against flyers, while also being able to protect our scariest creatures, which we've got a couple scary creatures in this deck, mainly the rare that we have, which I guess is just the 5/5 really, but we can protect our old fat spider and stuff like that. We can protect our signpost uncommon. We've got the wood elves to ramp up into the big stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a pretty simple deck build. I just want to roll with the green-black deck here. I'm not going to play Dwarf-O-Matic without dwarves. I mean, you can, but it's expensive to be re-equipping it all the time. I'm going to cut 13 cards out of here. I think the colorless cards are pretty filler. Not in love with Goblin Pair. I guess it goes okay with Azog. Don't really want a 3-mana 3/2 no text. We don't have a lot of elves for the elf ramp. Sentries or Wargling are the weakest to drop. If we cut any of those. Probably don't need 3 Warg's Tactics. And these are kind of more creatures, the Along the Crooked Way and the Gathering of Darknesses. Yeah, I don't think I have a ton of like really specific creatures to protect with Warg Tactics, plus I have 3 different ways to pick up creatures from my grave, so I don't know about this being a Warg Tactics deck. And then our card advantage can just be the stuff that picks up creatures out of grave rather than a specific draw spell like the last one. Then we just need to cut one more. You know, I probably should have cut a Wargling before the sentries. Will put them back in. I think our main 4-power creature is actually just going to be our Goblin army. With the amassing going on, maybe? We don't have a ton for Chief Warg. And Night Howl Pursuer also wants those 4-power creatures. Yeah, it's actually not crazy synergistic here. There's not much more I can do to get 4-power creatures in here. These are all the creatures in the sealed pool that I'm not playing. And there's just not a lot of 4-power. So I could splash in Bolg. The Fearsome Goblin pair does give us a 4/4 right when it dies, but we're not super good at controlling when it dies. We've only got one or two ways to sacrifice the Tom Bird, the Stir Up Trouble. I guess the Azog. Maybe Bjorn's Hospitality is one of our better ways to get 4-power stuff out. And red had basically no non-creatures, but I'm thinking like alternatively, is the green mediocre enough to swap it out and just play a bunch of like these decent red creatures to pair with the black? Smog being maybe the best for sealed. Probably not. Green is giving us a few pretty good cards. Quarrel, Tom Bird, Old Fat, Wanderers I like in sealed. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it as it is here. It's a little awkward, but so is the sealed pool in general. I think this might be one of the better decks we're able to make with it, so cross our fingers, call it a deck here, hop into the gameplay, and see how far it can take us. Alright, here we are on the play for game number 1 with a mono-colored hand we can't really keep. It doesn't do anything without casting a black spell. Even then, the Quarrel with just a 1-power creature for a while. Super bad. Plus, we don't even get the 1-power creature if there isn't already a creature engraved, so Along the Crooked Way doesn't do anything without a creature engraved. There's a lot that's incredibly awkward about this hand. We gotta take the mulligan, and this hand looks much better. I'm going to keep this and go for as much card advantage as I can. Get rid of the Ravening Warg. And we plan to make them discard a card, make them sack a card. Just get a little bit of card advantage back after the mulligan. The Crude Bent Blade not so good against the Goblin armies, unfortunately. They can just sack their 1/1. Stony Voiced Goblins, though, still decent here. Gets rid of a swamp. I like that we got flavor text lands in this set. That's pretty cool. Golem can keep coming back from grave, can't it? Sack an artifact or creature to do so. I guess they have to lose a real card to do it, so we might as well still send that Bent Blade out here. Prevent a little bit of damage. Oh, that Rampager's a powerful card. Apologies for the sound effect there. Rampager's a brutal, brutal card here, because we're like in a really bad spot if we kill it, and a really bad spot if we don't. Whenever it dies, they just get to amass a 3/3 back, so they're up a card again. Probably kill it, but do it during their turn. Okay. It's a good creature to sack to the Rampager, but what I like about that is if they do go ahead and do it and amass the really big army, when we blow up the Rampager, we're just putting more counters onto that same army instead of giving them an additional creature. Awkwardly, they do not choose to sack the Goblin pair. Alright, we'll kill it anyway. The strongest way to use those armies is to try to split up all of your amass cards into making different creatures instead of one really big one, generally. That way, your opponent can't just use one removal spell against all the stuff that you did. And this is a position like that, where if they had sacked the Goblin pair and then had a 7/7, I would just blow that up with one removal spell. But now, if I blow that up before the Goblin pair dies, now they get another 4/4. If I blow it up before the Tidings of War, they get another 3/3. And they just have so many more creatures. Flashback to Tidings of War, we love to see that. Kill 2 of their amass cards with 1 spell now. And as long as we don't kill the Goblin pair for a while, we're chilling a bit. But the Golem can sack the Goblin pair, unfortunately. But I can't sit here and take a bajillion. Nurture is a really good draw here, picking up the Bent Blade to have another way to kill a creature. So if they do... they do sack the Goblin pair, bring back the Golem. We can at least make them sack the Golem too. There's Oin, the Brave. Golem an instant speed ability? Nope. Golem is a sorcery speed ability, so we don't have to worry about like them flashing in a 4/4 out of nowhere. Interesting, they didn't do anything. No creatures in my grave yet, so we really need this Nurturer to die. I guess they just didn't sack anything yet because they know I have the Crude Bent Blade. Okay. And I guess we pass through at that point. If I had one more mana, I'd stir up trouble, but I think we're chilling. Which, if I had one more mana, I'd probably just play the 5/5. Defend ourselves. Golem the Abandoned. Sacks the Goblin pair to get them a 4/4. Brings Golem back to hand. They play the Golem. Oh, that's why we don't have any creatures in grave. The Golem is kind of pre-sideboarded against us. Because we have like 3 ways to pick up creatures from our graveyard. It's quite bad. Well, in theory, a 5/5 holds them off. We could just play that for now. Even if they blow it up, we still have its ability around to try to get value back. Bobo's Deadly Slice, sure. Keep the artifact. I've got the Gathering of Darkness here. We'll take this trade. There's a Hobbit hole. Alright, the army's holding off their creatures again. We're getting towards Tom, Bert, and William activations whenever they shoot anything. Got another turn of Crude Bent Blade shenanigans since we have the Nurturer too. Nurturer could also pick up Tom, Bert, and William so we could play them as a creature again instead of having them be stuck as an artifact. It feels stronger depending on the board to just play the Bent Blade again, though. They are going to stir up trouble, so we'll get to draw some cards. Let's get rid of a swamp out of our deck first. Make us less likely to draw into more lands. Although I wouldn't mind drawing one here, I think, because I've got enough spells to play off all of them. Yeah, I'll still play my land for turn over like a Wood Elves here. Okay. Bend them. Pick up the blade. And hold up Tom Burton Williams' ability. Misty Mountains Raider. That is going to draw a full removal spell. Gives them an army every time they attack. Amasses 2. That's a good draw. Make our board scarier and scarier. I won't have the mana to stir up trouble if I play Wargling 2. At least without sacking a card. Hit them for 5, take 1 on the crackback when I'm at 12. Let's do it. Should be able to start flipping life totals quickly here. With hospitality at my side. There's the Desert Wereworm. 6/5. When they attack with power 12 or greater, they get another combat step, but they only have 7 power total. So, kind of like a crawl worm, like a mediocre common, unless you're mono red. It's just a 6 mana 6/5. Night Howl Pursuer's pretty cool. Can we blade? They still have the Wereworm to worry about. It's an extra 2 power, so I could have a 4 power blocker up, but not big enough. I'm gonna hold up my Tom Burton William mana instead of equipping Blade then. Unless I can make one of them 5 power. +1/+1 counter on the Wereworm, and they gain a couple life. Golem's a really, really nice common. This card's played a lot better than it looks. Two for 1 myself to kill this worm. Could draw 2, discard 1 instead. I don't hate it. Old Fat Spider over Coral. Balin, discard their hand, draw a new hand. Death Toucher is a pretty sweet draw. Alright, no Tom Burton William ability here. But, working on being stable. Flipping the corner damage-wise, put them down to 9. 2 blockers up against their blind draw, and 1 card off the top. Both of the blockers are big enough to deal with the Wereworm, but if they do kill one of them, we'll take 4 here. It's not unless they kill both of them, which would mean hitting 2 removal spells in a row. 1 off Balin and 1 off the top. Okay, play an Opportunist, draw a card. Find their own Death Toucher. Kind of annoying for us. We've got like a 6/7 and a really big creature off of Hospitality as well at some point. Now our Warg is also just going to trade into their Opportunists. 2/2 into a 4/2 instead of clearing out one of the higher toughness cards. Another Death Toucher off the top, actually very useful. Yeah, I mean, we send the Spider and it's just going to trade into the Warg. Kind of like sending my own Warg in, gaining a bit of life. The Menacer's also not enough power. I could juice up the Nurturer, but then their Death Toucher is going to trade into that. We got to get the Death Toucher out of there at some point for our Spider. Mirkwood can put counters on a Spider. It's a little bold, but I'm going to be a little bold here. Take the 2. All right. Oh, they couldn't block the Spider with their Death Toucher anyway. What am I talking about? But even if I equipped it and attacked with it, they could double block with 7/6 and 4/4. I just trade into 7/6. But that's important to remember for the future. They can't block the Spider with the Death Toucher. It has power 2 or less. Not that the Spider would have had particularly good attacks regardless, just Very important to keep that in mind. That was not a reason not to attack there. I guess I gotta start getting worried about the werewolf's ability to get a second combat. Like, we're definitely dead to double removal because of that. Okay, single removal is not quite going to do it, and we get to counter Smog completely. Okay. They're going to go for it. It's not going to kill me, but it's going to be bad. I could take the 9 and then kill their whole board if they attack again, but then I'm dead to 2 golem triggers. I mean, if I do this, I take 8 anyway. So I might as well take 1 more damage to kill everybody. Okay. I will gain 2. Lose 1. And draw a card. Good draw. Feeling pretty safe. Just front porch sentries pass. There's their menacing golem. Dwailing off the top. And they scoop them up. Menace means they're dead. And that was a long, hard-fought battle there. I thought they had some really nice cards, some good quality, but we managed to grind it out in the end. Drew our best card in the deck. The Tom Burton William did a lot of work for us that game. We start things off 1-0, heading into game 2. All right, here we are on the draw for game 2. Immediately keepable hand this time. No mulligans. More double green or double black. I've got 6 mana double green cards, but I've got 3 mana double black cards. I could actually go for the black. Boros. There's Goblin Plate Mail for a menacing 2/1 immediately, and a good equipment to move around. Guess the order doesn't matter too much, but Death Touch is slightly better. And there's that Bilbo's Deadly Slice, the double black removal spell if we want it. Dwarven Short Sword. Pretty dedicated equipment deck here, that's very nice. Not the Chief Warg, still with no 4-power creature. All these 3 ferocious cards looking so sad. Get ready for a Death Touch block. Cast Along the Crooked Way soon. Alright, blow up the Chief Warg's fine, it's still not doing anything. Alright, I mean, I'll trade into the Menace or 2, that's fine. We hit a land and we replay the Death Toucher. We do not hit a land. Less fine. Still pick it up. Could stir up trouble. I do have a Deadly Slice too. Yeah, I don't hate this. I guess if that was the case, maybe I should have just taken Chief Warg over the Ravening Warg. I gotta Google how it's pronounced.
Ravening.
Ravening. The Ravening Warg. It's not like a Raven. Ah, Philly is the literal best rare in the set. Yikes, that's devastating. 2/3/3s for 4 mana, and if they play any more dwarfs, they get even more. So even if I removal spell Philly immediately, they're up a card off that other token. I really don't have much of a choice. We gotta just kill Philly here. But they're up a creature. Tidings of War. Tidings of War buffs up the army big enough to where the Wargling can't do anything, and they equip the Dwarf, so the Wargling can't do anything there either. We do hit the 5th land now, but all they need is 1 removal spell to shoot Tom Burton William, or alternatively, they could just put Menace on. I guess Menace I still have a good double block. It's better to run out the 3 creatures or just run out Tom Burton William. I'm gonna go for Tom Burton William here. Hope that they are the roadblock that we need. Because if they don't have removal in hand, what, they give Menace to the 4/4. I block the 3/4, take the rest for now. Oh, Lord. The Velvet Butterflies to tap both of my creatures and give them a flyer in the future if they want it. They're only 2 damage from lethal off of shutting off all my blocks. Even if I had chosen to play the Warg and the Sentries, we'd only have a single blocker up here, and it would be a chump blocker, so that card was going to be devastating however we played it. Take 7, go to 2. And our only hope here is top deck a land and they have nothing. That is not a land, which means we die to the flyer. We have no way to gain a life here. I mean, I guess... This is really rough, but I have to sack the front porch sentries to give butterflies -1/-1 when it goes for the attack. And I have to block the other 2. So I need to... They have to put plate mail on a ground creature. If they put plate mail on the flyer, I'm dead, period. Because then even if I sack the sentries to give it -1, we take 2 damage. But if they try to like put plate mail on a ground creature to attack with everybody, we could get a tiny, tiny, tiny little turn in our favor here. Or if they just don't equip. This is not a turn in our favor because they didn't equip. Or because they didn't attack with the other stuff. If they like didn't equip or equipped onto a ground creature and then attacked with everybody else, that would have been a really good turn for us. That maybe we'd have a shot, but this is still better than dying, which was a possibility. We were tapped out, done on board to plate mail. I guess not tapped out. We had 1 mana. I'll take the opportunity we get here. Okay, that's going to give them a 6/6 flyer relatively soon, and it gives them the mana to play Smog next turn. I can't attack, or I don't have a blocker up for menacing ground creature. Wait, no, I have to attack. I'm in such an awkward thing here. I have to attack, because if I don't attack, they give the flyer menace anyway. But then if I do attack, they give a ground creature menace. So I need to attack, then have them not realize the winning play somehow. that's about as good as we could hope for here. They could have taken the damage and then given one of the ground creatures menace, and I would only have 2 ground creatures to block with because the spider would be on the butterflies. Oh, it's 3 life. What am I talking about? It's still lethal. Why did I think I was going to go up to 4? Guess I thought I was at 2 life instead of 3. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Alright, well. Fought hard there, but they had some really strong cards. I mean, Philly doing a lot of work there, and it's hard to get blocking soon enough. 1-1 it is, heading into game 3. Alright, here we are on the play for game number 3. We are 1-1 right now with our very average Golgari deck. We'll see what we can do with this one. We do have Tom Burton William. We've had him every game so far, which is nice, because it's kind of the best card in our sealed pool. Which is a sad statement about our sealed pool, but it is still the best card we got. Opponents on mono black so far, jam in for 2. There's their own front porch sentries. Stuck on 2 lands. Just take the trade here or get some damage in. The trade would be excellent for us because then we get to play the big reanimation spell, the Gathering of Darkness. There's the Ravening Warg. Okay. +1/+1 until end of turn on the Addercop, so they can't 2-for-1 us on either of these. And then we're actually going to go for Along the Crooked Way here, I think, and get greedy. I mean, maybe Tom Burton Williams the best place still. Yeah, probably so. But I'd like to Along the Crooked Way before I cast Gathering of Darkness to maximize the bonus amassing going on, if we can. Plus, Along the Crooked Way is like 3 mana, so we can pick up a 2-drop and replay in the same turn. Can't do that with Gathering of Darkness yet. They have hit their 3rd land and their 2nd color, so pretty nervous about that. That was a very good draw for our opponent. There's Stir Up Trouble, sack the sentries to kill Tom Burton William, but we get to maintain their ability, which is the important thing. Counteract any removal they play for the rest of the game. Let's go Along the Crooked Way here, shall we? Play our highest power creature, the Addercop. They've got a lot of cards to choose from to discard, so Stony Voice Goblins isn't going to have much more impact this turn than it will later. They'll probably discard like a 6-mana card that's not relevant now or next turn. Rage into the Valley. Amass Goblins 2, lose life. Mirkwood Nurture is also good with Along the Crooked Way to pick up another card from grave later. Pretty cool. I really don't want to use my only removal spell on a 2/2. So I guess we're just trading 2/2s in right now. Man, I've got a lot of options for Mirkwood Nurturer. It's kind of crazy. Trade into the front porch sentries. Oh, I could have spent some mana for Menace this turn, actually. And that way I could have attacked with the 1/1 as well. Instead of playing another creature if I wanted to. I think I'm going to, though. I'm just going to double these 2 up. Ooh, that was actually a 5-mana removal spell they discarded. Not awful. I'm going to pick up Along the Crooked Way rather than the Goblins, because the Goblins are 1 more power on our board. And we're just immediately going for damage. There's the Fearsome Goblin pair to block the 4/3. Or they might have a Stir Up Trouble for it. That would be very good for them. They do. Very nice. Well, we'll Stir Up Trouble back at them. Get rid of the 4/4, I think. Get a 4 for my own. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 power. Really close. That may be close enough to sack Tom Burton William. Nah, let's just sack the Stony Voiced Goblins here. Hit for 6, put them to 3. That's still very low. Ravening Warg, Death Toucher. Try for the Menace kill. And there's the concession from our opponent. That is 2-1. Heading into Game 4 with at least the 50-50 record on our first run of the Hobbit Arena Direct with a pretty average sealed pool. Here we are on the play for game number 4. Looking for some more cheap stuff in this hand. It's pretty slow, especially having to play the Nurturer just as a 3-2. That's going to be sad, but we'll still roll it out. Especially with Gathering of Darkness afterward, we want to trade it off early. Our opponent's got a quicker hand. They get to scry a little bit with Bilbo and then cast them on turn 3. First draw is just another land, sadly. Ravening Warg. We draw another 6-drop. Here's a Nurturer all by themselves. Trade off and then cast a Gathering of Darkness will be good. Stony Voiced Goblins is their play. 2 6-mana cards in my hand. I think I discard a 6-mana card and then gather it back. Because we just have nothing to pick up with the Nurturer anyway. Another Bilbo Scry looking for land number 3, I see. Scry one at the top, one at the bottom. Probably land on top, spell on bottom. We would do the opposite right now. We're flooding a little bit after that, but still can't play all the lands fast enough to start playing 6-drops yet. We got double Bilbo on an adventure. So they're going to want to play one. They're really going to want to trade into the 3-3 so they can play the next Bilbo without having it die to legend rule. So obviously we're just not going to attack here. Wow, super flooding. Alright, Wanderers, what do you find? Addercop it is. That is the non-land. Pass. But I guess the Flood is perfectly fine for the Wanderers. Juicing them up. It's a lot of mana up. A lot of mana up from the blue deck. Not necessarily. It means that they have stuff because they don't want to play a Bilbo with the other one out for legend rule purposes, but probably means that. Let's just see what kind of interaction they have during combat first to see if we can get them to tap out before we try to play this fat spider. If they don't tap out, though, we might play the small cards. Because there is like a counter unless you pay 4 in this set. That would counter our old fat spider. But not the little stuff, and also we don't really care if they counter the little stuff. Okay, the Mariner's gone fishing. Flicker those to get extra value. That's actually really nice here. They draw another card, we discard another card. Here's the old fat spider now that they're tapped out, and they cannot block it with anything on their board currently. Exchange control of the spider and the stony voiced goblins. That's incredibly rude from our opponent. Drop a Mirkwood. Wow, yeah, I'm just gonna lose to my own old fat spider this game. I mean, I've got the Death Toucher, but they can probably get rid of it. We gotta draw really well here because the fact that they were mana screwed early, you know, obviously it was painful for them in their early turns, but it means that their hand is nothing but spells, and they have so much gas now off of the double Bilbo trigger and just having all spells, no lands. If the game does, if you manage to survive the early mana screw, it's better to end up screwed than flooded, because then you just have so much more gas in the late game. We drew removal for the old fat spider here. But now they also have a 6/5. And they draw another card when we kill the old fat spider. Man. If they didn't have enough cards yet, get some more. Bear, spider, or wolf, perfect, so I can buff up the wargling and have its ability make it 5 power. Take it and they go to 12. Monsters of Lake Town. Death Touch. Whenever a player loses life, that player mills that many cards. When they die, draw a card for each graveyard with 7 or more cards in it. Okay. So that's just gonna die and draw them another card? So they trade into our Wargling and draw a card now? Oh man. Okay. I'm moderately tempted to wait to send this Wargling in so that more of my stuff has trample on a future swing. Like when I actually draw a land and I can attack with Wanderers too. But then really they're just going to go 6/5 on the 6/6 Wanderers. Yeah, it's not like I'm trampling for that much more. Just send it. They're trying to set up like 7 cards in their grave. Maybe? Nope, they still only drew 1. I guess they figured because Legend Rule, they don't care about that other Bilbo anyway. Wow, that was really good. Counterspell that draws them another card. When it's a draw and discard, it's card selection, but still. Discarded a flashback spell. Just have so much draw in the sealed pool. Like literally like card draw, card draw, card draw, card draw. Recruit is a draw discard. Bilbo's another card draw. This is a draw discard. This flickers their draw cards. Ooh, speaking of drawing cards, along the crooked way for the Mirkwood Nurturer is kind of just spicy if they don't have another card to make me discard. Not 5 power yet, though. I'm actually liking this Along the Crooked Way card more the more I draw it in the late game because I just didn't even think about the Nurturer combo, but that's really cute. and keep like trumping or attacking with Nurture and then picking up along the crooked way to pick up the Nurture over and over. That is good for the Wanderer's trigger. If I along the crooked way again, I also have 5 power on the army, and I can send that to... Could also menace it, but that's less relevant, because if I menace it, they're still blocked with a 6/5 and something else, and I just kill the 6/5. I'm a little tempted to grab Wargling for the trample, but I think it's got to be Old Fat Spider. Guess I'm not doing anything with this mana, so I may as well menace so they don't chump with a 1/1. That way, like, they have to trade the 6/5 off here. And they could go 6/5 on the 6/6 and then like a 3/1 and a 2/1 on the 5/5. They could have removal, they got a lot of mana up. I'm assuming probably 6/5 and something else on the 5/5 and then 1/1 on the 6/6. Okay, Uneasy Partings is fine. 1/1 removal there. Why can't I spacebar to skip through? I think the update messed my controls up on Arena. I have to manually click every step. Okay, a kill and a chump it is. Suit up the flyer. Flying and menace. Land for turn. And hit me down to 16. I mean, if nothing else, they can play a Bilbo now and then Plunderer in my end step. Plunder to draw 2. Gathering of Darkness is a card, especially with Along the Crooked Way. They could have the counter unless I pay 4 here. Which they couldn't do to Gathering of Darkness, I guess, if I want to play it that way. But I don't have a good creature to gather yet until, like, the Spider's dead or the Wanderer's is dead or something. Sure, if they counter Spider, then it's engraved for Gathering. Cool. Does resolve. It's going to be a pass-through thanks to their 5 toughness card. And here's their draw 2. I forgot I can't use spacebar. Okay, they are going to kill it and let me draw the card, which then I can gather it back. Won't be able to immediately replay it, but soon. Take 5, thanks to Unblockable Bilbo. They draw a discard, go down to 8 cards in their deck. Ooh, man, this column's brutal against our deck. Exile the Spider and shoot us for 2. Yeah, that's super rough. Guess we get the goblin army at least. Okay, now we need to find a way to kill the nuisance basically immediately. After the extra damage and now not getting the spider back. Alternatively, finding a way to kill the mariners could get us to try to race, but it's a really risky race against 5 unblockable damage a turn. Okay, it's not a way to kill anything. Let's me dig. Attack with both the 4-power creatures. They eat one for free and just death touch straight into another. This is a chump attack to draw. What else is not removal? We're on a 2-turn clock either way, so the extra 1 damage doesn't really matter. I guess it could if Golem like chump attacks over and over, because recasting Golem shoots us too. 1/1 for 1/1, sure. Play Pursuer and Wood Elves, or 1 Gathering of Darkness. Well, I wouldn't even be playing whatever I pick up with Gathering Darkness this turn anyway. Let's go Pursuer Wood Elves. It's gonna be slightly more power spread amongst more creatures. I guess because of the landfall trigger on the Wanderers, it might have been better to hold off on Wood Elves for a turn and go Gathering. I forgot about that aspect of it. So we could send in the 6-power attack into the Mariners. It's going to be irrelevant either way if we don't hit removal. That's the most important part here. We still have both of our Deadly Slices in the deck. We've got Moria's Ruin can do it as well, Stir Up Trouble. We basically haven't drawn any of our removal this game. Okay, we drew our 1 Coral, but our other, like, 4 are still in there. Grasp on the Death Toucher. So they can move Menace to the Mariners. Send in the squad. Kill that. They're just going to get it back and make me lose life, but whatever. I lose the 2 life if I don't block it. This way I lose the 2 life, but I also kill one of their cards. Go 1/1s onto 2/2. And for the 7/5... Oh, I guess the 7 power is awkward, but I guess the 5 power I can do a 1/1 and a 4/3. The 5 toughness, I should say. One blocker up. Block this thing, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we remain dead if we don't find removal. That is about the same. Actually, even if we do find removal because of the Golem, it just make us lose 2 life twice. We draw a land. None of our creatures in grave can draw us a card in any way. The Chief Warg can draw us a card, but we have to attack with somebody to do that, which means less blockers up, but we'll still have enough blockers. The important thing is killing the flyer. I guess losing the life's going to put me to 3, though, which makes me dead to Bilbo hitting me and Golem getting cast. So I also have to, like, find life gain somehow. I think we're pretty cooked here. However we play it. Yeah, no life gain there. Maybe there was a way to set up a lethal board state here, and that's what I missed. Like, if I had kept the goblin army around instead. But then this is like a 3-power creature I'd be missing out on. Sure, I'd have a 4-power creature because I'd have that army and I'd put 3 counters on it, but I'd still lose the 3-power creature, so I still don't think it quite goes to 12. But, like, here they could, like, you know, block the 6/6, take 6. Or, like, double block one of the Menacers, take 9. So I'm, like, thinking, like, what if I had a goblin army here? It still wouldn't quite be enough. It's no reach because my reach creature isn't... It's not in my grave, it's stuck on the board. Man. Okay. Straight up have to draw perfect. That isn't gonna do it because I'm not gaining any life. They're gonna get me off Golem's ability. We had to bring back a Ravening Warg at some point. Wait. I don't have the removal. I don't have the mana for the removal and the reach creature by doing this, though. But I can, like, nurture the Addercop back to my hand to have the flying blocker. But I can't have the flying blocker and the removal. For Golem, I just don't have enough mana. Shoot. So close. I guess that was actually the play. Like, if I didn't attack, I'd be at 4. I did already have Along the Crooked Way. I forgot about the Nurturer. If I had Along the Crooked Way, the Nurturer to play the Addercop while at 4 life, then I block the Nuisance, take 1 from Bilbo, take 2 from Golem, go to 1 instead of 0. That gives me 1 more turn to try to crack back for lethal, and they're down to 9, so who knows? Yeah, I mean, that was the potential out there. Close, but I mean, I didn't see it, and even if I did, no telling that we could have got there. I mean, if they just sacked the Golem last turn, we were dead either way. Oh wait, no, that wouldn't even work. That plan doesn't even work because then they just put Menace onto the flyer. If I don't hold up Bilbo's Deadly Slice, then they just put Goblin Plate Mail on the flyer and attack for 4 in the sky with Menace. Anyway, you know, like, just doesn't do it. Yeah, no, I was wrong about that whole thought process because they have the Menace equipment too. All right, they're just gonna kill me with Golem here. Unfortunately. Dang, that was so much closer than I thought we'd get. Golem is a messed up card. Card's been destroying us today. Really good against our deck too. Shutting off the graveyard shenanigans. Alright, well, 2 and 2 it is, which was what I would have expected out of the sealed pool. Honestly, when I saw the rares, I was like, this is going to be a bottom of the barrel one here. And 2 and 2 is definitely the lower end of the spectrum for me. But that means we're saving our good luck, saving our good rares for future runs. There was some stuff going for the sealed pool for sure. It wasn't an 0-2 or a 1-2 or anything. We had a good chunk of removal in here. We had our best colors pairing up well with our good rare. The Gathering of Darkness Along the Crooked Way nonsense actually played a little better than I thought. Nurture with Along the Crooked Way was really cool. This deck had a little bit more mileage to it, a little more gas than I thought it would, and maybe had we played completely perfectly that entire game, we could be like 3-1 right now, but I highly doubt this deck's ever getting to the 7 wins. But I do think there was some user error to be accounted for as well. That could drag it down a little bit. So this deck actually, pretty decent. Maybe slightly above average. Maybe a 3 or 4 winner with perfect plays, but certainly nothing that's going to be running home with a collector booster box this time around. But that's why we've got some more shots at it. That will do it for today's video. Unfortunately, absolutely no prize out. $40 straight into the trash can, but we've got plenty more time to try some more attempts. But as for now, that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. And other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.